Welcome back, guys. Well, I'm here at the cabin and definitely feels like winter's coming in the air. We don't have a lot of snow yet. In fact, we don't have any here, just a whole bunch of rain. So I decided I'd spend the day here at the cabin, and I'm going to start things off with an awesome lunch. Stay tuned. Well, as you can see, not a whole lot of snow, but we have had so much rain in the last few weeks that we are at springtime water levels in terms of the lakes and rivers around here. Just gonna be making some lamb stew for lunch, and I thought I'd show you guys what I'm doing. Forgive me here while I turn the lamb. I'm just browning it first. So this weekend we're supposed to get a bunch of snow, but I can only imagine if all the rain we had in the last few weeks turned to snow. We'd literally have a couple of feet of snow on the ground. Today it's a little bit coolish and off and on rain with some wind. You can see here it is about 4 degrees out, 5 degrees. So I want to go around and sort of check on the trail cams and batten things down for the winter time. And I'll tell you a little bit more on the progress in terms of what we're going to be doing for heat this year. So one of my subscribers, Daryl, sent along a really nice gift for me. He really enjoys my videos and wanted to send something along so that we could cook here at the cabin. Let's take a peek. So here it is. It's a black clay pot from La Pottery. And this is black clay, and it's made in Colombia, South America. Isn't that amazing? So what I love about this pot is that you can cook with it on, gas stoves like this, over the coals, fire, on your electric range. Very, very versatile. And it's actually made of a natural product. The clay, black clay, actually handmade in Colombia. Very cool. And he also sent along a really awesome a little heat diffuser there. It's a little metal tray, and that's really helpful for even heating of the pots. Because these pots are natural, they don't like drastic changes in heat. So you don't want to ever shock it with putting cold water in it and sticking it on a fire or something like that. You want to kind of have everything inside of it heating up. So today I thought I'd use it to make some lamb stew. So now Daryl also sent along a couple really cool things, something that I'm not really familiar with, and I'll show you what we have here. So here are some of the awesome things he sent. A couple of different types of beans. I've never heard of these. Mayacoba beans, and also a cassoulet bean, which is apparently grown in California. So these are awesome. He said in this type of pot that he sent me, I can make stews and chilies, and there's a dish called ayeco that I might be making soon as well. So this, though, is the really special thing that I have never in my life heard of. It is the Chimeo red chili powder, and it's naturally grown in Chimeo, New Mexico. Let me tell you, the smell of this powder is amazing. Most chili powders contain other spices in them. This is just the pure Chimeo red chili. So I'm really excited to use this. There's certainly nobody around here that carries that. So I'm going to try some, put a little pinch in my stew today and try it out. Let's take a look at what I'm going to be cooking today. So as I open up the pot here, you can see I've got some beef broth kind of cooking there, and I've got a couple of bay leaves in there. One thing about these pots is that they heat up really well, and they retain heat like crazy. So whenever you make a stew or a chili, they stay long for quite a while. I've used this pot quite a lot so far, and I'm really enjoying it. Of course, in my stew today, I'm going to put some potatoes and carrots and onions. And earlier, I've just browned some lamb, so I'm going to stick that in there as well. All right, so I've got all the goodies in there. Let's just add a little bit of that Chimeo chili spice. Look at how red that is. Isn't that amazing? It smells great. I'm not going to put a ton in here because I'm not sure how spicy this is, but let's put a little bit. Oops, there we go. We'll start with that. One thing I also like about this pot is that it retains heat really, really well. So it's really important up here. We get really cold in the winter months, in the late fall, even in the early spring. It gets hard to kind of heat things up here and keep them warm, but having something like a natural clay pot to cook in really helps because the heat is maintained in your food, and you can kind of cook it a little bit faster. I'm going to leave this out here for probably an hour or so till everything gets a little bit more tender. And the longer the better for stews, but I'm pretty hungry, so we won't leave it too long. Thank you so much, Daryl, for this great gift. I've used it a lot, and it is absolutely perfect to have around the cabin. While I'm waiting for lunch to cook, I'm just in the cabin here, and I want to talk a little bit about heating for this winter. As you guys know, we have a kerosene heater here that we use, and we have used for the last few years here. I was really pumped about getting the little wood stove in here, the cubic mini stove. Found out that apparently it's not CSA or UL approved. So I found out that it's not approved with a lot of the Canadian standards. So which means that the offsets from combustibles are about 48 inches all the way around. Now you can reduce that by using some metal shielding around the sides and the back. But unfortunately, when we did the math and in locations where we want to put it, it actually ends up being big time in the way, meaning that we're going to be tripping over it in the summer and spring when we're not using it. So that is a real downer. Now, I did look into a Yodel, which is another small stove. And I know a lot of people out there have them and really love them, and I think they're great. Again, that one is an approved stove, but again, the measurements, it still sticks out like a sore thumb in the cabin, and it's because our cabin is so small, it really takes up a lot of real estate. So that leads us to sort of think of other alternatives, things that don't have huge setbacks from combustibles. And recently, you may have seen on my Facebook there at TheWildYam that we looked at a propane stove. Now I know propane's not ideal. We have a forest full of wood, but you got to do what you got to do and what works for your cabin. So this is sort of the next train of thought. And one unit we're looking at here, and I'll just show you, is called the Napoleon Arlington. Offsets from combustibles are 4 inches from the back and 2 inches on the sides. So that's really awesome. Very small footprint, extremely easy to install. It's fully vented to the outside. So it just requires a little hole straight out the back. Don't have to go through the roof if we don't want to. I certainly really don't want to do that. Don't want to go through the metal roof. So this model, you can stick it out the back, right out the side of the cabin and hook it up to a propane tank. Certainly in the wintertime, we're not here as often, so it's not like we would go through, a ton of propane or anything like that. I'm already spending enough on the kerosene anyway. As you guys know, it is not cheap at all. So the propane is a little bit cleaner, less stinky. Certainly we'll have a way better smell in the cabin in here in the winter. Let's take a look at what the Napoleon Arlington looks like. There we go. This is the Arlington. So you can see it's really small. It kind of looks like a wood stove, but it brings in the propane. So location, we're kind of thinking maybe under this window because it's easy to kind of punch through that wall there on the other side, and we've got a little bit of space there. The unit itself is 19 1/4 by 25 3/8. My plan today is maybe to use a little bit of tape and kind of tape out the area there and mark it off just to see, would that really work right here? The other location, well, there's the kerosene stove, would kind of be right here. So that's another spot. We've got some space there. But as you can see, if we were to put the wood stove in here as I originally was thinking, we put it here, it kind of comes out fairly far. And now we're trying to get this kitchen door open, and then we've got our wall, and then you got to move the chairs and stuff. The other spot we thought about was putting it sort of right here by the couch, but we like our couch and we like the arrangement here, so I don't know, it's an option, or even like right under here would be a good spot, I guess, but kind of thinking right here might be the best. I've had a heck of a time trying to get somebody out here to look at it. We're doing things by the book. We do have fire insurance here, and especially with the propane installs, it is a licensed trade. So there's no issue with us putting in the unit, but the propane connection has to be certified in order for us to keep our insurance. So that's a pain. So far I've had 3 people decline, get the runaround as to why they don't want to come out here and this and that. That's the problem when you're not that close to neighboring areas. It is a bit of a job for them to come out here during their busy season to even give you an estimate. It's kind of not worth it to them because it's such a small job, which is a pain. So I've called another company, I'm to the 4th person now, to see if they'll consider it. We'll find out. I don't know. This may not happen this winter, maybe next winter, but until then we've got good old faithful kerosene heater. It might stink, but it does the job and it keeps us warm. I know you guys have also suggested rocket stoves, and I have looked into those as well, but again, they can be quite large, and again, the offset from the combustibles is quite significant, and trying to get someone to certify that is probably going to be a challenge. Such a nice, quiet, relaxing day. I'm just sitting at the cabin working on my next project, and what's that, you say? Well, that's a pair of moccasins, so slippers for inside the cabin in the house. So I've got one of them completed right there. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it, but I need one to match the other side. I'll just give you a close-up. just shed a little light on the situation, but here you go. So this is some more elk hide. This time I used the fuzzy suede side to the outside. And this is an applique. I did not do the beading. And this fur right here, that's beaver. So that's beaver fur. And on the inside, oh my gosh, I made these so warm. So on the inside, I've got kind of a cotton lining here, kind of like you'd use for quilt blanketing. At the bottom of the sole, I have, it's an inch thick of wool. I'm really excited to wear these at the cabin this winter and at home. You can see they are really nice and warm. So I just got to make the second one now. This didn't take me too long, a few nights, a couple hours each night, just to make the first one. So today I'm going to be working on just, sewing the leather part together here. And then I usually do the liner, I'll do it at home on the sewing machine. And the fur is all hand sewn on. I sew it on this side and then I kind of tack it down on the inside as well. So super pumped about those. I don't know if any of you guys like sewing and leather work and things like that, but I find it really relaxing. So it's nice to just sit there and get that rhythmic kind of motion of doing the sewing. At the end of the day, you have a really nice project on your hands. I finished up the mucklucks in terms of the weatherproofing, and I'm going to show you that in a future video about how I treated the soles and the mucklucks as well, so that they'll be a little more weather resistant for the winter. They're not going to be waterproof. That just makes them completely unbreathable, but they're a bit more weather resistant. So I'm going to talk a bit about winterizing winter clothing in an upcoming video, so stay tuned. Certainly have enough kerosene to sink a ship. I've got 2 here, because I forgot actually that I had this entire pail of it. I thought that was a bit of old gasoline that I kind of decanted off into the container here. Then when I looked at it, it looks like last winter I had bought 19 liters of the stuff. So, well, I guess it was a sign. I'll be heating with kerosene this winter. As you'll notice, I'm all dressed in red, and it's our deer season here, so gotta be super duper careful. Always good, especially if you're out foraging this time of year, to be 100% safe. I want to show you some other planting I did while I was here the last time. You'll see some flags kind of here and all up along here. And what those represent are walnuts. So I harvested walnut this year, and as you know, I planted one just up the little drive there by the cabin. And now I've had the opportunity to plant them in the field. I planted some a little bit over on the other ridge there as well. I'm really hoping they take. They do like sunny areas, so I'm hoping this seems to be a pretty good spot. Thankfully, with all the rain this year, all the pines that are naturally in this field have done extremely well. So as far as the eye can see up here, you can see all sorts of pine trees. So this is really, really encouraging. Once that taproot's in there now and it's in there nice and sturdy, the growth is just gonna rocket. Of course, they're beautiful, but I also have my eye on harvesting one for a Christmas tree this year. Just like every year, I hunt around and look for one. So after lunch, we'll head out, check the trail cams, and maybe scout out for some Christmas trees. And here's the old snowmobile. I think I might try to make sure that she's gonna turn on while it's not like a million degrees below zero. Well, always a good sign the mice haven't chewed it to death. Looks pretty good. Remember, I resurfaced this a couple winters ago. It's in pretty decent shape. I'm happy with it for sure. It is an older model machine, obviously, so it really doesn't owe me anything. I just like bombing around in it. There's the nuts and bolts. So now I'm going to fill it up with a bit of gas and see if I can get it started. I'm praying there's no gas leak this year like there was last year at the little filter assembly there. Seems like it jiggles a lot, obviously when you're routing it around, and then the plastic cracks, and then over time it starts to leak. So that was my problem last year. I filled it up, came back, empty tank. So not very good. So I might inspect that area first before I fill up the tank. Now, here's a spot where it leaked before, right around this little nozzle here. I don't smell any gas, and I don't see a leak physically. There is a little bit in there. I do have a backup one in case it's totally broken, but it looks okay. Just before I head back to the Bravo there, let's take a look at lunch. Oh, look at that. Yummy. Look at that beautiful red color there of the chimeo chili that's imparting on the stew. Yummy. We've got our lamb and our potatoes and carrots. I added a little bit more flour to it just to thicken it up a bit, actually, a little while ago. But it's doing really well. So we'll let that go, let those flavors simmer together, and get back to work. I spoke too soon. Man, I had some difficulty opening this up. There's a squirrel or a mouse or something's made a little nest in here. Oh, geez, what a mess. Ugh. Gracious. Anyway, I'm gonna take this out of here. That's gross. At least they didn't chew that up. Ugh. What a mess. Well, thankfully I close off the air intake here so they can't get in there and nest in the air intake box. But looks like they kind of got up and under in the storage bin here. So whatever. I usually put mothballs in here, and I guess I lapsed this year because I was so lucky last year, but ugh, yuck. Well, she's purring like a kitten. Didn't take too many pulls to get it going. Perfect. Go over here where it's a little quieter. I have a plan to stick it up on the platform over here. Right now it's just sitting on a rotten OSB board, and the skis will be frozen down in no time, and it'll be hard to get it going, as you remember from my snowed in adventures last winter. So I'm gonna bring it up over there to the platform behind me and get her up there and get her ready for the first snowfall. Well, yeehaw! I got her up on the deck. Well, that's awesome. It's starting to pour rain now, so I'm gonna head inside and I'm gonna have my lunch. The wind's really starting to howl now. I'm really grateful for having this nice stew pot to make such a nice warm lunch. Got on my lap here and it's super hot. The Fall Raven pants are very waterproof, but certainly they feel the heat if you put a hot bowl of soup on your lap. Look at that, doesn't that look tasty? That is really good. The lamb is so incredibly tender. And you know that chimeo red chili spice? It's not really spicy at all. It adds a really nice flavor to this, but it's not hot. So I think next time I'm gonna add a lot more. All right, after lunch, I'm gonna go check out the trail cams and we'll see what else is going on in the woods. Well, it's been about an hour and the rain's finally settled down. So we'll just head out in the woods now. I've got a few things to do. Gonna check the trail cams, and as well I have to put up the little solar powered charger there for my mold tree that Norm gave me last year. So I just did a little maintenance on it. Gonna pop it back up now. And yeah, let's head off. Got my bright orange and red on again because of hunting season. And we'll see what's going on in the woods. Just as I head over here, just leaving the area here, you can see there's fungus is all wilted. That's actually an old, I believe, a dryad saddle or a pheasant back. They have a peak again in the fall as well as the spring. And I'm going to mark this tree because I'd like to come back in the spring when another flush of the mushroom comes out. Because these guys taste really good. If you cook up the edges of them, they taste awesome. And they, I guess I have a smell apparently of watermelon or something like that. So this guy does not smell like that. So we'll leave it for now and get back to it in the spring. As you can see here, all the wood's piled up for the winter. The water barrel's turned over because we don't want it to freeze. And the old yam canoe is all battened down for the winter. Got to remember to keep my eyes peeled for a Christmas tree. Probably come back in a few weeks and actually come and harvest it. But never too early to scout out a tree that you want. Where the two flags are there, that's where some more walnut is planted. You can see the cabins back over that way. Another one over here as well. I hope they take. As you can see, this is a path I usually take here, and it was full of ferns. And now all the ferns have died back, so you can see my path in the center though. Well, this pathway right through here is basically flooded out. This is what it looks like basically in the spring. So yeah, once we get all our snow and all this water, oh boy, it's going to be a mess here in the spring, let me tell you. Ooh, a little bit of ice in there too. It's going to head up that way. And replace the solar charger there on the mulch tree. All right, she's all set up. Charger plugged right into the trail cam. And just looking up the trail there, last year I got a really nice moose coming through in the wintertime, so I'm hoping we get a lot of traffic. With all this rain, there's a lot more fungi coming out. Just so beautiful. You know, you never think of fungi, you know, approaching the winter months coming out, but they do. There are some fungi that persist over the wintertime. So, some polypore fungi. Basically all mushy and soaked with water. Everything is so wet and squishy all through the woods here. Kind of a bit of a mess, but still, it's a nice day in the woods, even though it's raining. There are some hooded mergansers, just in the bay over here. Males and the females. And you can see now the bay is starting to ice over. So, don't think they stick around for very much longer. Probably can't as things freeze up. Well, he sure was upset with my presence there. Just heading down now, a little bit further down the bay there to check the trail cam that I have right beside the dock. And we'll see if we've got anything interesting down there. As I go along, I'm basically replacing all my batteries as well. It's the time of year when the cold is particularly hard on them. And also I'm adjusting any of the trail cameras that may be affected by upcoming snowfall. You don't want them to get buried, obviously, but you want them to be at a good enough height that you can get what you want to see. So just heading down here now to check on that last trail cam. Wondered if it would be open enough for ducks back here, but not. Guess it's just the mergansers up on the other side of the bay there, but yeah, it's icing over. Winter's coming. The snow should be here this weekend. I've replaced the batteries in this one the last time I was here, so let's just see if we got anything. Well, sorry to disappoint, but nothing much going on there. Well, once the bay freezes up, my experience is that a lot of animals will come down on this pathway and kind of walk along the shoreline. So I'll just set it up, but I'll set up a little bit higher so that we can get something. Of course, today I'm sporting my fall raven pants, and boy am I glad. They're, you know, nicely waterproofed, and they are quite warm for this time of year, so I'm really happy with them. The boots I'm wearing are a little bit overkill. They're my Baffin, I think they're the Baffin -100 boots or whatever, supposed to be good in really cold weather. It's kind of overkill for today, but hey, I'm not minding the extra warmth in my toes as I hike through the woods and explore what's going on around me. Right now it's raining, but honestly, if you guys look really closely, it kind of looks a little bit like sleet. Don't think it's freezing rain, but it's starting to get a little thicker than regular raindrops. This one here looks like it has 41 videos on it. Let's see what's on there. Wow, look at that, tons of deer. That doesn't really surprise me this time of year. You know, it's deer hunting season, they're on the move. We know we do influence their routes when the hunting season is on. Also, they're in the rut, so they're, you know, wandering around more. A lot of does here moving through. They're also going to be yarding up very soon. I'm starting to lose my light now. It's about 3 o'clock, 3:30, and it's getting pretty dark in the woods, so I think it best that I head back to the cabin. Well, here's Christmas tree potential. This is sort of in the area of where the high bush cranberry is located. That looks pretty good, kind of bushy all the way around. I do need to thin in this area. As you can see, there's tons of trees here. So this one's a spruce. Looks like it's got 3 Oh my gosh, that is 3 spruce together to make 1 tree. Holy mackerel. Maybe I'll have a triple header here for Christmas. Wow, that's ridiculous. Okay, so looks like 3 spruce grew together, so maybe that's not my ideal tree. Well, we'll keep looking. Here's another one in contention for a Christmas tree. Yeah, there's 2 right here. You can see 1 here and 1 here, so I'm going to thin that out. Maybe I'll take that one for the tree. As you can see, there are plenty in here. So actually this one looks pretty good too. I don't need a huge one, you know, don't have a ton of decorations, and yeah, lots of good ones here. Well, lots of contenders today in the Christmas tree department. I'm going to keep an eye on them, and I'll probably pick one of the few I've shown you here today for Christmas. I'll do that in a couple of weeks. Thanks so much, guys, for joining me on today's adventure. Winter's in the air. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Take care.